Okay, welcome. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
Well, the recreation report says E and Deyo, not Seth Deyo.
Yeah, plans changed. You guys are stuck with me today,
Another
sorry.
CEN.
All right.
Maybe it's behind you or something.
Okay, Chair's remarks, the moving wall, a half-size replica of the Washington DC Vietnam Veterans Memorial, will be coming to Brattleboro. It will be installed on the northeastern end of Moore Field, which is in front of Full Flex off Route 5, exit 3 of 91. It will be there from September 16th to 24 hours a day. September 13th, the Vernon seniors are getting together from noon to 2 p.m., bring a bag lunch. And the caucuses, the parties are caucusing. The Republicans this Friday at 6 o'clock at the Vernon Dam picnic area, and the Democrats Wednesday the 15th at Town Hall at 6 p.m. That's all I have. Open public comment for items not on the agenda.
Jeff's on his way.
Oh, good.
He said he's good.
Seeing none. COVID report, Mr. Emery. And Mark Snow, I think, is here too. Okay,
Do
go.
I just stand here now? Is that, yes? Or do you want me in any special place?
Well, where can you get a better picture of him?
Okay.
He's got you
Well,
on camera.
that's probably outside.
Nice try.
Well, I'd like to say thank you for the invitation, but obviously it's not a great thing to have to come back. We were all hoping at this stage of COVID it would be in a far better and a healing place than we are right now. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Since our last meeting, there's been a number of variants that have popped up through the whole COVID thing, and Delta variant, I'm sure that you all are aware, and I'm just going to help remind you, the Delta variant is the worst one that's out there right now. Obviously subject to change any time. So the Delta is as deadly, if not even worse, than the original COVID. However, vaccinations are the key thing for this one. If you have been vaccinated, it's a breakthrough variant. It will break through the vaccination. But what's being seen so far is that the vaccination is holding it down to minor issues, still some symptoms, but your chance of being hospitalized or death are far, far less if you're a vaccinated person. Non-vaccinated people are at high risk with this Delta variant. For those that are vaccinated at this point, depending on the dates that you were vaccinated, 8 months is kind of where they're looking at right now, and they're anticipating a booster shot may be helpful and useful. So we should be hearing more about that in the coming weeks or so, about how and when those are going to be available and administered. However, there's no information right now, but the true proof, I think, is in the vaccination of, if you remember when we were here weekly, we were talking how more people were being tested positive and sick, and then the vaccinations became popular. Vermont is the highest state in the country for vaccination, and we dropped off drastically, and so there was fewer people being hospitalized. The Delta variant obviously has come back, and they're saying primarily from the non-vaccinated people. So I can't stress enough, and I know there's a lot of people that don't want to get vaccinated for whatever reason. I would just ask them all to relook at the science, relook at the data, and make your decision on that versus any political statements that are out there. In Vermont, the CDC guidelines haven't changed much from what you already know. They're leaving it a lot up to local establishments, local government. Masks are preferred in public settings, 6-foot distancing, and washing hands if you're inside of a building. That's the only thing that's out right now, and obviously that's subject to change too. But that's where Vermont is. Some businesses and companies are at the point where they're requiring vaccinations. However, I don't know of any in our area. Vernon School is in full session. Everyone's back. This is the first time they've been back since March 13th, 2020. Staff and students are all wearing masks, and they're grateful for somebody or some people have made all homemade masks for the staff and students. Highway doesn't have any problems that they're indicating. And you know how the town offices are set up at the present time. You know, masks are required, as well as if you go to the treasurer's office appointment. If you have symptoms, I can't say strongly enough, stay home and get tested. And basically, unless you have some questions, I don't have any further information or guidance that I can offer.
What's the state of emergency for Vermont?
Vermont is not in the state of emergency. That was relaxed by the governor, and I don't know the exact date. If you looked at the date that we, in the town of Vernon, relaxed it, the governor relaxed it just before that. So, so there is not a state of emergency in the state of Vermont.
Okay, thank you.
And Vermont Emergency Management at its height was hosting weekly, actually sometimes every other day meetings, then weekly, then monthly, and they have stopped that since everything got better, and we haven't, there's not an initiative right now to reinstitute those meetings that I'm aware of. I know Mark Snow was trying to get on. I don't know if he is or not.
He is.
He is, and he might have some comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Mark, you're up.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. First, I'd like to apologize for not being able to attend the last meeting when Dave was on vacation. Due to technical difficulties on my end, I was not able to log into the meeting, so my apologies to everyone. I just have a couple things to add to what Dave had mentioned. The Vermont Department of Public Health recommends wearing a mask when you're indoors in a public indoor setting. Because there's a significant portion of the population that remains unvaccinated and the transmissible Delta variant is spreading. So as a result of that, the Department of Health is recommending to wear a mask when you're in an indoor public setting. There's a few other basic prevention steps that they are recommending. The first one is get vaccinated. Like Dave said, there's individuals out there, for whatever reason, choose not to be vaccinated. And like Dave said, you know, the individuals should relook at that and look at the science and possibly rethink their decision on that. If you feel sick, stay home. And if you have any symptoms, you should be tested. You can find the testing sites on the Vermont Department of Health website, which is healthvermont.gov. And the last thing is to wash your hands on a regular basis. Those are the basic prevention steps that's being recommended at this time. What I would say is everybody just needs to be diligent on personal safety and for safety around those in the immediate vicinity of themselves. That's pretty much what I have, unless you have questions.
Okay, Michael, do you have questions for Heather?
Nope.
Jeff?
No, I don't.
Tom?
No, I'm good, thank you both.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate all your hard work. Okay.
Thank you.
We don't have Ian, but Seth deals up.
Sorry, yeah. I get the B team. Well, I guess thanks for having me. Just gonna kind of go over where we're at as a department. I don't know if I should stand up or I can probably do that. Sorry, I can see everybody. We closed the pool August 29th. We had a really good summer. Sold about 110 season family passes, which is about average for us. So, on a year where people are still figuring things out, I'd say that was something to be happy with. It was either 95 degrees or it was raining. There was really no in between. So if it was 95, we were swamped, and if it was raining, I guess we were swamped in another term. But program-wise was again really, really strong. Day camp was full every week. Archery, tennis, diving lessons. We really had strong numbers this summer, so that was great. I think some people were anxious to get back out and try to make up for lost time. So we were happy to be a part of that. Good business to be in when you're a rec department, when that's what people are looking to do. The summer went really, really well. The staff was phenomenal. We had, I'm not into ranking staffs, but just they were a really good crew we had this summer, and a good mix of those with some experience and some new staff members to learn from those with experience, so that as the others move on, they've learned from some of those with experience, because I think ultimately they're going to learn better from their peers than they are from anything I really do or say, for the most part. That's kind of, as long as the peers have a good head on their shoulders, that works really, really well. So we were really pleased there. Moved back to the school when the pool closed. We're over there now. Preschool is up and running, and numbers have been tremendous. Enrollment is really, really strong. The staff there is getting the ball rolling, and having a good time. So we're really pleased with that. Soccer season, we're actually getting back into league play, which we didn't have last year. That'll start this week. With restrictions there really aren't any on the table per se, but we kind of have developed our own safety protocols within the league to try to keep things and people as comfortable as possible. Given that we're towns from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Vermont, we're all coming from different backgrounds as far as protocols and guidelines and experience with that. So we've worked together to come up with some protocols that we think work well for everybody. So I know the kids are anxious to get back out and play against some other towns, so that'll be fun. As far as kind of moving forward with other programming, we're still weighing our options and looking at kind of being housed in elementary school, what that looks like for us. They're fantastic to work with, the school is, but we understand that it is ultimately a school first, and we need to work along with them to make sure that what we offer fits into what they're comfortable with too, and we'll always able to do that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that jumps out. I guess budget-wise, it'd be worth mentioning that when I was in here talking about opening the pool, we kind of had some concerns that, we're a little tight here, but the consensus was just get the pool open as fast as you can, and so we were able to open on time, and actually thanks to tremendous use. And people registering for programs in June, we were actually able to, looks like, hit our budget. So that was something that I was pretty pleased with. I'm not going to sit here and quote exact numbers until I have all those, but we're in a much better spot we ended in a much better spot than I had anticipated. So, and that's thanks to all the people that supported our programs. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Questions, Mike?
Like the disc golf course, thank you.
So that's a work in progress for sure. But this time of the year, I'm hoping that it'll get a little bit better with the bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was fun. That was and Peter Roush and Patrick Harris. Those guys deserve lion's share of the credit for that. They walked us through that, and still a fair amount of work to do on it, but it's playable.
Yep.
Yep.
Every course I've been on, they work on it every time you go, something's new.
Is it?
So it's related of the sport.
Awesome. Those guys had told me it takes 2 years or so to break in a course, which I had no idea. So we played a couple times, and I'm not very good.
Jeff?
No, thanks.
Yeah.
No, thank you, sir.
Sure.
All set.
All
Thank
right,
you very much.
great. Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, minute approval? August 17th.
Madam Chair, I will move that the minutes be accepted as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those, is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Okay, aye. So you have 5 ayes. Okay, treasurer's report?
I move that we approve payment of the following warrant. 5T Accounts Payable, $32,599.79. 33S Payroll, $10,483.45. 34S Payroll, $12,158.56. And 35S Payroll, $9,595.51.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. You have 5 ayes. Okay, the town admin report.
Okay,
Welcome, Shelley.
thank
We're
you.
very happy to have you here.
Vermont League of Cities and Towns will be holding its town fair on Wednesday, September 29th for in-person activities. The annual business meeting will also be held on the 29th at 1 p.m. This will be a hybrid meeting. Any municipality wishing to participate in election of the offices or any other items that may come before the membership must designate a voting delegate by Friday, September 17th. They'll be holding virtual workshops that will be offered the week of October 4th, and registration is required. ARPA funding, the final rule on spending is to come. The deadline to allocate funding is December 31st, 2024. Funds need to be spent by December 31st, 2026, and this is something that probably should be discussed at town meeting in March. Another announcement, BCTV sent us an invitation for its annual meeting, September 22nd from 6 to 7 via Zoom. It's free and it's open to the public. And the Selectboard has been invited to an invitational meeting put on by Rescue Inc., September 16th. That'll be held at 6:30, and that'll be at 541 Canal Street in Brattleboro. And they are expecting, or hoping, to have somebody from the Select Board and the town administrator in attendance, and the key topics will be emergency medical coverage for Vernon and contract terms and rates. So,
Okay, so, do we have, are you gonna go to the rescue?
I will definitely be
Okay.
there.
Is there somebody from the board that wants to go?
Oh, if you need me to.
Okay, that would be great.
We have a rescue rep too, should they be there?
They should be there.
Who's on rescue?
Who's our rep now?
He works in Turner's Falls. He's on the fire department on EMS, Mike Pratt,
Okay,
I believe.
Oh.
great.
Sounds familiar.
So you should know.
Should I send out an email? Okay.
Please.
All right, let me see, one other thing that I had noted here was that the fire department has equipment they'd like to donate. I've contacted VLC and obtained a donation agreement, release waiver of liability and indemnification agreement. But I need authorization to submit this to town council for review.
We have a motion?
I don't understand this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So they'd like to donate the equipment, however, it would be a liability of the town if that equipment should fail, even though it is only being used by the school for just basic training.
Oh, okay.
But to cover the town, it's something that towns usually have the people receiving the equipment sign off on, that they realize that, you know, that's not,
Right.
it's not gonna be the same capacity as when it was new, and that we're being released from liability.
And who are they donating it to?
This is school, I'm not sure if it's like a
Fire
regional
school.
school.
Oh, Dave
There's a
knows.
fire.
I can only help answer some of this. Unfortunately, the fire chief is committed to some other stuff for tonight and couldn't be here. But as the chairman of the advisory committee, what it is, it's some old air packs that they've had that are out of service. They haven't used them since their new ones were purchased. And they're sitting there just doing nothing. They have a small amount of value. But this, by donating them to the high school, it would go to the vocational center where they have a firefighter training program. And then they would take and bring them up to whatever standard that's desired. It wouldn't be used in an emergency situation, only for training of high school students. So that's the intent. However, as was mentioned, there also needs to be the liability sign-off sheets, no matter what. So that's where they're supposed to go.
Thank
And
you.
I don't know how many there are. Was it?
I don't
I
know.
want to say there was 10 units, but I don't know that for a fact.
Thank you for clarification.
Mary, did you have your hand up? Okay. Okay,
I move that we sign off on the liability so that the fire department can donate the
and send it to
equipment.
the attorney to check it. She wants to send the
Oh, to the attorney.
Yes, just for his review.
Oh,
to make sure
okay.
that it's sound, that's a
All
sound
right.
agreement.
We'll Send it to the attorney.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion? Tom's holding his breath.
No, I just, if it's coming from VLCT,
It came from an attorney there, but he recommended that the town council still
all right,
review it.
then send it up. I guess I hate to spend
I
money on the
know.
council if we don't have to, that's all.
I know, it's just that he recommended it, and
Yep.
being an attorney, I just
Okay, all those in
skip the
favor
once over.
signify by saying aye. Michael? Jeff?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed. You may send it on.
It's budget season again. Would the board like to set a budget meeting schedule at this time?
It's time already, huh?
Yeah,
It's September.
Uh-huh.
So what have you got to propose to us?
I pulled the meeting schedule from last year. It looked like we had started, it would have been this week. So I have meetings starting September 22nd, going through to the beginning of December, every other week on Wednesdays. But I'm not sure everyone's capacity to be here for that schedule, or if you would like to do work
What
sessions.
day is the 22nd?
So that would be
Wednesdays.
Wednesday.
Okay.
The same week as select board meeting, right?
That's-
what we were
that's
kind of
what it looks
decided
like.
to do before.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
would have like a Tuesday meeting,
And
then
then
the
we-
following night on a Wednesday, and
Yeah,
then,
not every week meeting, so do like Tuesday,
Right.
Wednesday, and week off. Does Wednesday work? I don't know.
Yeah, I can make it, I head south one day a week, it's generally Wednesday or Thursday, I'll just have to, I'll book those weeks on Thursday, it's workable, sure.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Question, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir?
Would it be possible at that first budget meeting to get, and maybe it already happens, I don't want to step over, to get a recap from the treasurer as how we ended up on the year end
We would like that very much.
as we move forward into the next year?
Okay.
Because it was kind of a funky year. It
I'll
was just
have that
nice to, you know, line item by line item, how we ended up and what the overall cash position
Okay.
is.
I can get that information for you.
And you'll contact the boards at people? Okay, great.
Should I go with this list
Yeah,
for now?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
you
Chair.
Thank
can
you.
send them all the schedule.
Okay.
Okay, we're on to establishment of the conservation.
Oh,
You've got one more, I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So the VLCT meeting was mentioned. Do we usually send a rep?
We do,
So do we need to do that?
we do. She's got that under new business.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I just have
Sorry.
I have a couple more quick
Okay.
things, if that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. So the .gov domain name that Wendy had been working on, so I've continued with her efforts. I've submitted all the registration information. We should be able to implement that in the next few weeks. So I'm going to work on looking to see if there's any places that we need to note that we're going to have a change in our web address. So there was that, and we had a couple of incidents very recently of people just walking into the public offices, and it's a bit unsettling. And I'd like to inquire whether or not everyone would be comfortable in locking that door that leads to the town offices for safety and security. It was locked at one point.
And then there
But-
was, not the front door.
No,
Not
the
the front
door that
door.
runs down the hallway to the town
bathroom.
administrator's office and the
Right.
treasurer's office, only if there's a crash bar on that door.
Yeah, it was locked before, but you could always get out, you just couldn't always get in.
It pulls open, or does it push?
It pulls, if you were in the hallway, it pulls open.
I have to look at that.
So if you're coming from the town administrator's office out to the lobby, it pushes or pulls?
Pulls. Cause there's a bathroom on the
Yeah,
other side.
right,
so
that's
you can't
right,
open
that's
into
right.
that door, it's gotta open the other
Yeah,
way.
okay.
And I-
I just worry if the door is locked from a fire safety perspective, if you
Mhm.
can get out, that's all.
We're going to be moving some locks
That's
with the
emergency
movement of the office and the storage room, so I thought now would be the opportune time to ask and inquire if everyone was comfortable with that, or if you'd like
Are you all comfortable with
Yeah,
that?
to do something else.
With locking it?
Yeah, as long as people can get out. If there's two ways of egress, I'm fine with that, but I'd be concerned.
I think Chief would already be screaming if there wasn't.
Well, that's for sure. The fire chief would be, but, you know, there is a second means of egress through the backside.
Right.
But that is your primary means of egress, so I'm not totally familiar with the door, and I'm assuming that it has a crash bar on it. I'm not.
No.
So it would have to be, if it's going to be locked, it would have to have a way to open it up easily.
Well, how could you have a crash bar when it opens in?
It's just a regular door.
Yes, you
Yeah.
Just a
should.
regular
It opens in.
Door, like, just a regular door, like in your house, just a regular.
Well, it can be a regular door, that doesn't matter, it just needs to. So if I was at the town clerk's office and I go down to the hall, there's a door there,
Yep.
and it swings out, it
Yeah.
swings in.
And
Into the
before, when the
hallway.
lock was on it, they had a
Swings
buzzer,
in.
but you could always, it was never locked from the town clerk's side going out, just from the other side coming in.
Mhm.
I don't feel so bad, okay.
Whatever way, it would have to be a means of egress for employees to get out. So if it's a matter of turning the door around or putting a different knob on it, I'm sure that it could be accomplished.
Because it's a key lock.
Right.
It would just require a different type of paddle handle
Yeah.
to push it, so. I'm positive it could be accomplished relatively easily, but I can't picture, Tom and I are in the same boat, so.
So if it only locks in one direction, is
Yeah.
it okay?
Yeah,
That it doesn't lock on the way out?
that's correct.
I mean, we'd have to check that.
It would just prevent people unauthorized from
Right.
just having free reign to go down. They would have to be buzzed in or somebody open the door for them or.
Yeah.
So the consensus of the board, or do you want a motion to allow it? Let's get her a motion maybe.
Apparently closing the door wasn't slowing people down.
No?
Mm-mm.
And where were they headed?
Right into the town clerk's office, walked right in.
Oh, into the clerk's.
Yes. Yes. we
Yes.
did.
We're going
Somebody
down to-
came in today when I was in there, going down to the treasurer's office to pay his taxes.
So I'm okay with it, as long as the fire chief signs off on it, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Okay.
Same.
I would just do a consensus, okay.
Yeah.
Do we have like the rope things for like voting that we could put in front of it?
I actually
We
had
do.
mentioned it to Tim, and we did put a barrier there. There's a
I've
sign
seen
that
it on a
says
paper
stop.
box.
And that,
People still
was
walk around
50-50.
that, yeah.
yeah.
You have to put like something that says stay out. People
Yeah, a
understand.
physical obstacle, that they have to stop and think.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, the voting thing, put them across.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But then everyone, all the staff going in and out.
What if you put that barrier thing before you, when you first come in, put it before you come around the corner?
Right,
I guess we could.
because that's really,
No,
as
right.
far
This
as,
is on this side of the
Yeah,
restaurant.
on the other side.
Restrooms aren't open to the public.
Right,
Right.
that's
Right.
right, that's right, right.
So put it before you get that.
Put it up on this side of the restrooms, so they know they can only go to Tim's window, no
Okay.
further.
Yep, we can do that.
Try that.
yeah, why don't we try that before we
Yeah,
lock doors.
that's why I tried the barrier to see if it would slow people down, and it did. It was 50-50, but I just wanted to see where everyone stood on that and see if anybody else had ideas.
Well,
That's a good idea.
I have another big sandwich board. There's one outside the library. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I did.
So we put a big stop sign and plunk that there if you want to borrow it over there for a while. So
Okay.
we can give that a whirl.
Yeah, I'll talk to Tim, and
Yeah.
we'll put the voting rope up and see if that works.
Yeah.
The only thing I might say is, whatever you put there, you gotta be careful that you don't impede people from getting out. The sandwich board is a good idea, but it closes down your walkway. And there has to be a certain square footage to get out. So even though the sandwich board can be moved easily,
Right,
it still would be considered a hindrance. So maybe temporarily, until you get that squared away, it could be a helpful deterrent. But I wouldn't do much permanently.
no. And the ropes wouldn't be considered that?
No, because the ropes could be just tipped over pretty easily, I think.
Okay.
Straight, now
Right.
straight.
Okay.
Okay. Try that. It's a
Alright.
good solution. Thank you.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Establishment of the Conservation Commission or Committee. I believe we have somebody here to walk us through.
I assume.
Over there.
So we have, Margot, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Margot. Can you all see me? I don't know what your setup is like. Hopefully you can hear me. My name is Margot Gia. I'm with the Windham Regional Commission, and I am primarily the natural resources and energy planner, although I do work across several program areas, including transportation and coronavirus funding for towns and hazard mitigation planning. So I cover a lot of different areas. I had heard that you all were having conversations around conservation commissions and had some questions about how conservation commissions work within the structure of town government. And so I wanted to just be able to share a little bit about conservation commissions and how they work within the structure of your town government or any town government. I had some slides that I might be able to share. Do you all have a way to see those? If I share my screen?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I get a note saying host has disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
Sorry.
While we're waiting, I do have, again, Karina here, who's interested in forming committee. I have Paul Miller and I have Sam Cochran, who's also interested in being on the board. Don Rosinski could not make it today, and Martha Haskins is not here. Those are two other people who have expressed interest in being on a commission.
Wonderful.
There it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
are you all able to see the screen that I'm sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
And it should say Conservation Commissions, a lot of green.
Yep.
Okay, so again, I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of background about conservation commissions and how they work within the town structure. And, okay, so in 1977, Vermont passed enabling legislation that allowed municipalities to establish conservation commissions. So this has been in the Vermont statutes for quite a few years, that towns can have conservation commissions within the structure of their town government. And the purpose of conservation commissions is that it is a citizen advisory board, and that word advisory is very key, whose purpose is to promote the stewardship of natural and cultural resources within the community. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So if towns are interested in establishing a conservation commission may be created at any time when a municipality votes to create one, or in the case of a few municipalities throughout the state, when the legislative body of the municipality votes to create one. For most of our communities within Vermont, conservation commissions have to be voted on at town meeting with a duly warned warning. Unless, and I don't know the status of Vernon, whether you're one of those few municipalities where the select board itself can just create one. So some communities have conservation commissions, and some communities, although very few at this point, have conservation committees. I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between a commission versus a committee. Essentially, in most ways, a commission is the same as a committee because both are advisory in their advisory capacities. So a committee is a less formal structure and does not need the vote of the townspeople to be created, whereas a conservation commission does need that. The benefits of being a conservation commission versus a committee is that you have the backing of the original enabling legislation, and it's a legal arm of the town government. So commissions can also then receive certain funding, grant funding sources that just a committee could not. So that's some of the differences, although in most respects, a committee is essentially the same as a commission, just one is a little bit more legally binding. So most towns at this point, there were more committees that were formed, I would say, prior to the legislation being passed in the 70s, and nowadays, more towns have commissions versus committees. So the activities of a conservation commission, the legislation recommends various types of activities, but does not mandate any of those. So there's a lot of leeway and latitude about what conservation commissions can work on. It varies then greatly by community based on the interests of the people who are serving on the committee versus the needs of the town. So not every conservation commission does the same exact thing in all communities. But some of the things that conservation commissions are enabled to do are complete natural resources inventories. So this might be we have had several conservation commissions in our region that have recently completed emerald ash borer and ash tree inventories within their communities. Another conservation commission is trying to look at performing or getting completed a whole natural resources inventory, just so they have a baseline of what's in the community. They might provide ecosystem services. They can receive gifts of land for conservation. Probably one of the biggest things that many conservations do is they can assist and advise local planning commission and select boards on natural resources issues. There's often a lot that is mentioned in town plans, and it's very difficult for planning commissions or select boards to address all the different areas that need to be addressed or would like to be addressed within a town plan. And so this is where a conservation commission can actually play a big role, is sort of doing some of that back behind the scenes legwork and research into topics, and then providing sort of a recommendation or advice to the select board for final decisions. A lot of conservation commissions focus primarily on education for the public. And then some conservation commissions manage town-owned lands and forests. So again, a wide breadth of activities that conservation commissions can take on, and they're not mandated, but just recommended. So it can vary town to town what that exactly looks like. So if a community does set up a conservation commission, a commission is usually made up between 3 to 9 volunteer members who are residents of a municipality. The terms are set up for 4 years, except for when you're initially setting up the Conservation Commission, then you stagger the terms so that when those terms come up, it's a rotating for every year. And commission members must be voted on by the town legislative body to be able to be served on that committee or commission. So that's also a difference between a committee and a commission. The committees doesn't necessarily have to have appointed members, whereas the commission does have to have appointed members in order to serve on it. Since they are a legal body of the town government, they must meet all public open meeting law requirements. So they must publicly post meetings through the town. Meetings must be open to the public. Minutes have to be posted. They also have to create an annual report. A lot of commissions will end up submitting it to the town for a select board addition into the town meeting booklet that goes out. And they have to talk about their finances and transactions for the year. So funding a conservation commission, again, this varies as much as the activities of conservation commissions. Some commissions, for example, my husband happens to be on one for the town of Rockingham. Their conservation commission is not funded at all. They have a zero budget. And then other towns such as Dummerston and Guilford, they have line items within their annual town budgets that provide some operating funds for the Conservation Commission, primarily for educational work. And then Conservation Commissions sometimes, so again, to fund them, it varies. Some towns make small annual appropriations. Some Conservation Commissions do fundraisers. Some Conservation Commissions go out and see, excuse me while my phone is ringing. Some seek private or public funds through grants or through individuals for specific projects. And then some, like the Londonderry, for example, they manage the town forests. They then, because of the management that they provide and the services that they provide in the management of the town forests, they receive in a special fund all of the town forests, all the logging proceeds from timber sales. And that goes to support the work in the education and conservation of land for the Conservation Commission to then manage. Some towns kind of related to, but also separate from conservation commissions, have a conservation fund. This is a dedicated fund set up by the municipality for conservation of agricultural lands or forest lands, wildlife habitats, etc. And this is a special fund. It's often made up of when decisions are being made about how to use the money in a conservation fund. That's usually members of the select board, maybe members of the Conservation Commission, if there's some land conservation groups in town. So there's many voices that go into how to use funds that are specifically in a conservation fund. So that's a little bit in a nutshell sort of how conservation commissions work within the structure of town government. And the legislation does leave some of the activities fairly, loose in terms of not mandating specific things happen, but just recommending that certain types of activities are within the purview. But it is, I think, the most important thing to realize is that it is an advisory capacity that the Conservation Commission serves. They do not have legal authority to make final decisions or legislation within the town. So they serve and make recommendations to the select board or the planning commission about natural resources activities within the town. So I don't know if anyone, I'll stop sharing my screen at this point, and I don't know if anyone has any questions or curious about how, just providing a little bit of background about how commissions work within a town structure.
Michael?
I don't have any questions.
I have a couple, if I could,
Okay.
please. As conservation commissions may receive grants of land, if that was the way the town were to go, if they were to receive the ability, grants of land or provide, there are two. Is there any enforcement power that conservation commissions have at all under any of the VSAs?
Not to my understanding.
Okay.
That my understanding is they are completely an advisory capacity, although I guess the select board could deem them, you know, like for example, in some towns where the Conservation Commission manages some of the town forest lands, they do make decisions about harvesting and contractors to bring in to do that. But again, it usually gets select board approval.
Okay, and then the other question I had was where the town has an agricultural committee that looks at agricultural lands.
Yep.
Okay, and then the town recreation department looks over town parklands and they take care of the town forest as far as marking trails and,
Separate position for them.
huh?
It's separate from the rec
Yeah, but same,
people.
right. The only concern, I just don't want people bumping into each other, over jurisdictional issues. And that would be something locally that would have to be controlled. That's my only concern. There are committees that are doing really good work on those types of things. But I can't see any downside to having this. The issue relative to committee that's up to the board to decide, but I can't see establishing a new entity without giving them some budgetary, even if it's minimal budgetary help, just for copy machine things and that type of stuff. But I get real concerned about enforcement, whether they have enforcement authority, and apparently they don't under the Vermont laws. So that's makes me more comfortable.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I guess, I'm Paul Miller. I guess I have similar questions as to what Danielle has. We have the Agricultural Land Preservation Committee, which carries this area of possible buying development rights. We have the Recreation, which is kind of in charge of the town forest. You'd have to differentiate who has the power and authority over each of these. And one other question I have, what would be the liability of a board member, for instance, on the committee, if I'm on that committee? What liability have I got if we're dealing with contracts with town forests or things like this? If there's money involved, there's got to be some liability.
That's why you advise the select board when it came to contracts. It would end up on our shoulders.
Sorry, I can't hear you, I'm dead.
If it's a commission, you're elected, so you have to get sworn in. If it became a commission.
But contracts would go through the board, the select board.
Yeah, what I think was being explained about Londonderry, that's a very robust conservation commission and what they're able to do with forest lands and timber sales and that type of thing. I don't envision that kind of, and I don't want to speak for members, but I don't envision that kind of authority or that kind of robust activity in Vernon, in a commission that may be established in Vernon. I don't
Well,
envision it that
we
way.
did do timber sales, and we definitely needed somebody to oversee
Right.
that.
Yeah, I never got pulled from the lottery, I remember.
Oh, I'm sorry. But the liability would land back on the town.
Right.
I don't know if you,
It's okay,
did you hear me?
more or less.
Okay, Jean?
So, back at the beginning, it talked about it either had to be agreed to at like town meeting, or if the town was capable of voting in, like, if the select board was capable of establishing it, and so, how do we know that?
Yeah, that's a good question. How do you know if you're one of the towns that can establish a commission? Or are we better off just establishing a committee?
So, most towns in the state of Vermont do have to go through the vote of the town residents, so going through town meeting. I know I can share an example from Rockingham that it was brought up, the question was brought up at the floor of town meeting several years ago, this was quite a few years ago now, by a resident saying, do we have a conservation commission, and if we don't, can we establish one? And so the town representatives looked into it, realized what a conservation commission was, supported the idea, but wanted to get a sense from the town residents of interest. So they contacted a few people, held a public meeting, saw that there was a lot of interest in town, that there were people willing to serve and were interested in serving. But it was at that point November in the year, and town meeting wasn't until March. So what they did is they established a committee to meet until town meeting. And the committee worked on the bylaws and other enabling, group. Sorry, I was a little distracted there. So worked on some language for establishing the commission, what the warning would be like. So they kind of got their ducks in a row as a committee. Mm-hmm. And then they asked the select board to put a warning in the town meeting for March. And at that point, the town residents voted on the warning, and it passed, and the commission was established. So that was a case where a committee was formed so that they could do all the preliminary work and get all the agreements and some of the background information put together, so that when they were ready to go to town meeting, everything was ready to be presented to the public and was established. So that's how a committee and conservation commission structure can kind of work in tandem, form a committee until it becomes a true commission.
Okay, I was hoping that sort of thing might work, because you could at least start. My feeling is I would love to see it be a commission if there was chances for funding for some things that you wanted to do. I think it's important to have that opportunity. So that sounds like a really good solution to me. So you can keep moving with things and not wait till next year.
I can I ask one more question? In Rockingham, let's say we follow the same kind of trend of committee, then go to town meeting for enactment for a commission. Are the commission members appointed or are they elected?
So the commission members are appointed by the select board.
Okay.
So they are not voted on at town meeting. It's just the establishment of
Fine,
the commission that's voted on at town meeting. But often there are, and every town works a little bit differently. There's no one standard way of doing this. But in Rockingham, I do know that the select board takes recommendations from now that they're established, takes recommendations from the Conservation Commission. they go to the select board, and the select board discusses it and approves the appointments.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Is there further discussion? Does anybody want to make a motion to establish a conservation committee?
Gladly. I move that we establish a conservation committee for the town of Vernon.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Michael?
Aye.
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 I'm an aye, and you need to show that because Jeff's not here now. Okay. Now, can we have the names of the volunteers to be on the committee?
Want to introduce yourself?
I'm Karina Assiter.
Okay,
Paul Miller?
yeah, I know. Paul.
Yes, I
We know him.
Sam Corcoran.
We have Donald Rosinski, Martha Haskins, and Norma Manning.
May I have a motion to appoint the 6 people to the committee?
So move. Okay. Second?
Okay, all right. All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
I'm an aye. The motion carries. Welcome, committee.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'd like to offer a second motion,
okay.
that the committee, the Conservation Committee, bring back to the Select Board a warrant article for the annual town meeting for the establishment of a Conservation Commission for the town's people to review and vote on.
Is there a second?
As long as it's including all the bylaws and stuff
No.
we talked about,
Yes.
then second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Michael?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
It's
much.
very
Thank
exciting.
you. And thank you, Margot.
Yes,
Thank you,
very much.
and if anyone has any further questions at any time, please feel free to reach out to the Windham Regional Commission. Have a good night, everyone.
And I just want to thank Norma and whoever for
Yes.
for bringing this forward so quickly, as it was brought up at the last meeting to get a overview, and it was very much appreciated.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. And all the work you've been doing anyway.
They have to have their own first meeting to make their own chair and all that,
Yeah.
right?
They have to, and you have to have the minutes into the town clerk within 5 days,
Okay.
okay?
And your warning to the town clerk.
5 days before.
5
We
days
have
ahead of
to, we have
time.
to warn how far ahead for a first meeting?
5 days before your meeting.
Okay.
No. 2 days.
48 hours.
Oh, yeah, they changed it, it's 48 hours.
Oh.
They did change it. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, discussion of flower beds at the Gazebo and Veterans Memorial. It says Chad Mulverhill. Night.
Oh,
So is Chad coming to speak on this, on the flower beds at the gazebo?
No,
Oh,
that is,
Probably.
So-
something that was added by Wendy. I guess there was weed whacking done, and this is something that she thought that the board should discuss, maybe put out there to see if there's anybody in the community, any volunteers that would be interested in planting some flowers and doing some weeding.
Didn't we get a letter
I don't have it.
indicating there was concern with how the,
It was all over Facebook.
Yeah.
I
And
don't-
a resident,
Yeah.
a resident already came and did all the weeding and everything.
I think the gentleman who does the lawn just weed whacked it. I think I took a walk out there, the only thing I saw was like one hosta.
Yeah.
It'd be really nice if there was a women's group in town that would love to, take that up, but I don't know I don't know.
I know we definitely need to stay on top of the lawn mowing contractor a lot more. Because every time they mow, we get some kind of complaint.
So I had followed up with somebody in town about what would it take over there. And a little bit of that too, like Wendy and I had talked about, weeding is in the lawn care contract. They consider that weed whacking. So they just mowed it off, but they didn't do it until we complained. But to get that into kind of a better state over there was defined as a pretty involved process in terms of, you know, pulling the stuff out so it doesn't keep coming back. And, you know, there was recommendations to maybe make some areas grass. So there's like kind of digging up and replacing some of the soil and seeding it down. Maybe having some stone and some different, you know, stone around the gazebo. But, you know, there's stuff that just keeps coming up through. So, I mean, I got a lot of information, but the person is just not, it's just not on their schedule to do this. So I mean, I don't know really what to do over there. That the highway department went and cleaned it all up in the spring and it looked great, but nobody took care of it. And also this person had said the mulching just was a bad idea.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, it makes me, yeah, this whole lawn care thing is a mess.
It is.
I mean, it almost seemed like we needed to hire someone to get things really into proper shape, except that maybe if the highway guys had time, could do some of the, you know, kind of digging out and putting in suitable soil to grow some grass and that, and do some of the work, but it's pretty involved. And then there's, you know, maintenance after that. It's got to be maintained. So
Yeah.
I think if it all got fixed up, that there might be some local people could get it more onto their maintenance schedule, but the amount of work to get it to that point is not something they can do right off here.
How much would Heather charge, do you think, to bring it back up?
She would not give me a price, and she was saying she just didn't have the time. And she didn't even have the time to give us a price, you know, to try to figure out an estimate.
Yeah, she's pretty busy.
Yeah, I feel like if we got it in shape, that she would be a great person to hire to maintain it, because she, you know, the gardens that she does do in town are great. But
I wonder if this could be although I'm not sure we have one anymore, but a Boy Scout, Girl Scout Explorer activity to clean it up.
Eagle Project.
Yeah, to clean it up and get it ready, perhaps with the highway department, you know, maybe providing the shovels and maybe providing some topsoil or whatever, those types of things would be. I think the Boy Scout troop, and it may be an all-inclusive group now, maybe out of Brattleboro. I don't know if we.
Franklin's are from Vernon. I seen them at the Guilford Fair at the Boy Scout booth.
Okay, maybe it's back up. I know that it had gone fallow for a couple of years, but.
Why don't we check with the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and see if they'd be willing?
The Girl Scouts will start meeting the town hall basement
That's right.
space
That's
on the
good.
23rd bi-weekly.
So let's check.
So they will be right here.
Great.
And then they may not be able to. It may be beyond what
Right.
they can do.
Yeah,
But it's,
usually stuff like that's an Eagle Scout project.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
'Cause when I
pretty
was
rigorous.
in the military, we helped. We did what you're saying with the town. We assisted them with the heavy lifting
Right.
for Eagle Scout projects.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like the one up on the town forest.
Yeah.
Did a great job. Okay.
Okay. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's a good one if we have one.
Yeah.
Are there any high school kids looking for their 40 hours of community service?
That's another idea.
Yeah.
Ask Seth, usually they go through him to get them.
Yeah, and it's outside too.
Yeah,
So
it's-
there's,
It's a great opportunity, and we could get that done pretty
Thank you.
quickly.
Thank you, great idea,
Great
Mary Lynn.
suggestion.
Some of them wait till the last minute.
Yeah.
Okay, voting delegate to the VLCT annual business meeting. Any volunteers?
I did the other one.
I'm only,
are you gonna be able to go?
I'll do it. I think I've done it every year for a
Well, they're
century.
expecting you.
pretty much.
Now,
Okay,
can other board members attend the day of the
Yes.
fair?
yes, you just can't vote.
Right.
Okay, use of lobby for a book sale on September 18th. I believe that's Mrs. Carr.
That's right. So the trustees of the library would like to have a book sale the day of the townwide tag sale, and open the lobby up for a book sale up there. Usually what we end up doing is it takes some time to set it up, so they were hoping to have that week before to kind of get things set up and hopefully get it taken down a week after.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
Approve the library to use the lobby for a book sale.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, Michael?
Aye.
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 Recuse myself.
Okay. You got three
It's
of
the
them.
trustees, it's not me, but.
3-0-1 recusal.
Right. Weather monitoring equipment for the highway department and emergency management.
Well, I will speak briefly. I wasn't exactly sure that this was coming up until I read the agenda. So needless to say, I don't have a lot of information for you. However, I would just briefly say, in preparation of Ida, when it was showing signs of making an appearance here, emergency management held a meeting with emergency services, fire, and everyone, and highway is an important thing. I asked the question if there was a weather monitoring station, because sometimes that's helpful during emergencies as well. And there wasn't one, and isn't one that apparently is available for fire or public works. So I didn't and haven't done any research, which I would assume that would be the next step. And I will take that up and figure out what would be best all the way around for everyone to see and how it could be monitored. I know that I have a rain gauge at home, but it's far from scientific. But we've had a lot of rain in Vernon in the last month. So that's, I think that's what this is all about. I had just mentioned it, and I don't know if Wendy had intention, I don't know what the intention was here. I just thought it would be an excellent idea for that to take place. And if you wish, I will look into it and see what's available and how it could be financed or paid.
Could you bring it back to the next meeting?
Either next meeting, or I'll keep you informed so that, I know I'm coming back on the next meeting anyways to talk about emergency management in general. So I will,
Thank you.
if that's okay with everyone.
That would be wonderful.
Okay. Thank you.
Opening of town hall for organizations to hold meetings again, and for Mary Lynn. Hers. So Mary Lynn, why don't you update us on yours?
Well, in the past, up in the lobby, I've put up the week of POWMIA. I've put a display up for that week, which is the 13th through the 18th. So I was gonna ask permission to do that again, but we didn't do it last year because the building was closed. The year before, you gave me permission to do it, and I went to do it, and there was no room to put it. So, since we've opened again, and I've been up there, there's nowhere to put the display.
Now, are you doing the display when the wall comes? Because I know they're gonna have the display there.
Do what?
Are you doing the display when the wall comes? Because,
It's
Yeah.
that same week that the wall's here.
well, they were planning on having that display at the wall as well. So are you the one that's doing it at the wall, is what I wondered?
I'm sure, I don't think that, they won't have a POW, I don't know if they're planning a POW MIA display at the wall.
I think they
I
are.
would assume they bring their own.
They might, I don't know,
Okay.
I did the wall when I was in New Mexico,
Uh-huh.
the moving wall, and I don't remember that we had
I think I read that in the.
one, but they may, because
Yeah.
it just, there's different ones,
Yeah,
and they do kind of different, I don't know, they do different things in different locations, who's ever hosting it, and who's ever the company is that's doing that.
so where could you set it up?
I don't know. There's no room up there to put it.
And I suppose
I think that my 2 cents, that VY, whatever it is there, needs to go
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Why couldn't it come downstairs?
I never wanted it up there. I always said, put it downstairs,
Yeah.
and that's not what
Really
some
should go to
people
the
wanted.
historians now.
And
Oh, it belongs to the historians?
I don't know if they have room in their barn for it, but that's more of a historical thing now, the stuff's gone.
They should
Yeah,
be the
but-
Governor Hunt House.
I was thinking
you
that.
know, this part,
Yeah, that's not.
when you walk in down here, that narrower section is really kind of useless space. Nothing ever happens in there. It's in the bigger area, and it just seemed like, put it down there.
Well, that
And
would be a good thing.
I don't feel like it even fits with the historian, what they've got going on down there, but,
Put it
Not
over-
what they
yeah.
do, but it is a historical part of Vernon.
It is.
but now, you know, I mean, Entergy moved that here and set it up. I think that thing is pretty heavy.
Yeah, I
I'm
imagine.
sure.
You know, they had guys here doing all that. So
Could that be part of the decommissioning?
Yeah, they decommissioned
So
it,
now
got
we
rid
gotta
of
dump
it.
it on North Star?
They found the first person to raise their hand, they moved it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love for that to leave up there.
Yeah,
I never wanted it there to begin with.
I'd definitely say if the historians can't find a place for it, move it downstairs for now, but I feel like it's pretty good place down here.
I mean, that lobby's full, we don't have a lobby.
No,
We don't have a
lobby is
foyer anymore.
Very full.
And when I put that up, it takes up that whole corner there.
Yeah, it does. It
It's
has
also the
to.
same time as the book fair.
Which would give it a lot of exposure.
Yeah,
This is true.
oh
There'll be
yeah,
more foot traffic.
there's a room for both, unfortunately.
Yeah, it takes a little time to get
I would.
book sales set up. I mean, they were gonna put out tables with additional books,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is what we usually do when we have a book sale.
How much would bolsters charge to move that downstairs?
Yeah, well,
Could we find out?
I wondered,
I can look
Bolster
into it.
movers, you,
Or Butch.
or
Use them.
what about the
He's just one person, right?
Butch
TA
moving
office
that would
stuff?
hard to move the
It's gonna be
office.
Thursday.
Well, ask
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, it's supposed
Ask
to
him
be
if it's
Thursday.
moving the,
I-
Thursday, ask him.
I'll inquire. I will
yeah, looks like they're
inquire.
coming in, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're already gonna be here, you can look at it while he's here.
Great.
Yeah, he's supposed to be here Thursday.
All right.
Why don't we
Contact
do the
him tomorrow.
book sale?
What about the school?
In the parking
maybe? I don't
lot.
know. I just
When
feel
you
like
draw
it's
more
gonna
people
sit down
to
here and
drive-
nobody's
go
gonna
by.
see it.
Well, that's a little
It's
They
huge.
just
risky
move
with the
during
weather,
voting.
plus you
Well, I
can't,
mean, if
Yeah.
the weather's
Most
good.
people.
yeah, but they can't
Then-
just set that all up in a, it takes a while to set it up. And, you know, the tag sale starts, I think, at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because you set it up by genre and all kinds of
Well, we
things
try to
too,
have
right?
some kind of organization to it, and it just takes time to unpack the boxes of books and set them up on there. And we haven't actually done that kind of sale in a while.
Well, let's see if Butch or whoever's doing the moving can, it's not gonna be, it'll be a add-on, it'll be a price add-on, but, see what they'll do, see if they can move it downstairs and
When is he doing the moving?
Thursday.
this week. So that would open that whole side up. Would that be sufficient room?
That's where you were before. That's where you were before.
Yeah, I mean, the table's kind of in the flags and that, but, I mean, I use that whole corner there, kind of set
Yeah.
by itself. It needs to be,
Too bad you couldn't throw something over it and use it as a platform to put everything on,
Yeah.
the display. It's so massive though.
So you wouldn't take it down till when?
it'd be up for a whole week.
So-
I usually like put it up late Friday afternoon and then come get it the following Monday morning.
With the week in between, so it would end up being there when we were trying to do the book sale.
Right, but if the VY
Yeah, well, that
model
would
was gone,
That would
then
help.
that would probably provide you enough space, and you weren't
Right.
planning that, the trustees and the friends weren't planning that space for setup either, right? Because it was there.
Right, it was occupied.
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna end up with stuff all in front of your display, because we probably would've
Yeah.
gone over there and plunked some tables in front of that
Yeah.
thing.
Could you
But-
put it in Tim's foyer?
Put it where?
In Tim's foyer? When you come into the town clerk's office.
Yeah, but then nobody can look at it, and nobody
That's
can,
We have,
what it stands for or anything.
Yeah, we have the
So that's why I
desk.
said I was gonna withdraw.
we have the desk where the select board signs the warrants. Does that have to be, we all have keys to get in if we were in Tim's foyer to sign? That would open up that whole back area.
Well, now that we have meetings in person, we don't really have to go sign anything.
Well, that's
either.
true too, but
Yeah, we can sign it at the
We
meeting.
can sign here at the meeting.
Yeah.
that would free up that whole back right-hand side.
But in the lobby,
Yeah,
you've never seen the book sale before. We usually
you fill
fill
that up too, okay.
with
Yeah.
tables as
No,
many
yeah,
as we can get out
Right.
to put books out.
I just withdraw my request. It's easy.
Well, if we could get rid of that model and get you into the
Let's see if
corner
we can
over
do
there.
that.
I'll make a phone call tomorrow and see what
Okay,
we can do.
thank you. And that's, the Girl Scouts would like to use the,
Okay.
Town
My
hall.
pager went off.
so, every 2 times a month downstairs.
Yeah, I think at the last minutes, we kind of defined
Right, yeah.
what we were doing
Right,
in the building, which was masking.
and they have to keep,
The outside groups need to be masked, keep a log. And, well, they only talk about masking, they never really said distancing, but that's always
Say follow state,
hard.
stay in the CDC
state
guidelines.
CDC guidelines.
So are we willing to open the town hall for organizations to hold meetings?
I thought we agreed to do that at the last
That's what I
meeting.
asked at the last meeting, because the library had a group
Yeah.
that could potentially be coming in once the weather is cold.
Okay, so then it's already done. Okay. Upcoming meeting, Tuesday, September 21st at 6:30, Wednesday, September 22nd. Do you want to meet at 6:30 or 6 o'clock?
6:30 would be better
6:30.
for my schedule, but if
Yeah.
we have to make it for 6, I can do that.
Well, if
Well-
we keep it at 6:30, we won't get confused.
Yeah, easier on Jeb.
Yeah, well, the library's open
Yeah.
until 6, so
Okay.
that's a
Oh,
little
okay.
tough.
We had nobody else here.
We'll clean that room
Do we have
out.
a motion to adjourn?
So,
Is there a
We go
second?
over this, all this stuff?
A part of this,
I think it's just to look at it.
I think it's to look at.
Okay.
You're welcome to log into them,
Gotcha.
any meetings.
Who's representing us here?
Joyce and Susie, I presume.
Thank you, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
All right, so,
I remember, okay.
I remember typing them a long time. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, you have 4 ayes. The meeting is adjourned.